ingredients at play that could make these storms extremely dangerous, and some of these ingredients downright impressive.
Really impressive. That potential is there for all modes of severe weather tomorrow, and this covers a lot of real estate. Look at this red area here: Nashville, St. Louis, Kansas City, all the way down south to Dallas and San Angelo. All these major cities in that threat for severe weather. And again, all modes are possible. However, that tornado potential is there as well, so just want to get you prepared for that. Tulsa and Springfield, we're looking at a 5 out of 10 on our Torcon. That's a 50% chance in a 50-mile radius, a 4 for Dallas, Texas.
All right, so significant tornado threat, but also damaging winds and hail. Don't want to discount them, because damaging wind can cause some serious problems.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a rotating tornado to cause damaging winds, and so we definitely want you to be on the lookout for that. So now, the feature that's going to be bringing in some of this weather is this upper level spin in the atmosphere. This is the water vapor imagery, so showing you the moisture that's present in the atmosphere. This is going to be sliding off to the east, but it's the features down at the surface associated with that system that are going to be causing the weather for tomorrow. And so right here we have two frontal boundaries, a cold front here draped over the central part of Texas, and then this little area in here right over Missouri and into Oklahoma that's going to be moving off to the north as a warm front. And Alex, these numbers, these dew points, this is just downright uncomfortable.
I mean, even outside of the severe threat, a day like this, you do not want to be outside. No. I mean, this is not a day that you're doing anything except sit in a pool. A dew point of 77. We say really anything in the 60s is very muggy. 70 above is tropical. So we're talking about a taste of the tropics.
And this is tropical air, and unfortunately it's that moisture that helps fuel the instability, and really that is off the charts tomorrow as far as severe potential goes. But the other important ingredient here is the wind shear, and that's going to be overlying those areas of our greatest instability. So that's why tomorrow we are thinking about this being a significant threat potential for all modes of severe weather, because all these ingredients are aligned together, and that's something that we look out for as forecasters.
So the question now becomes, what's at risk here? What's at stake? And what's the timing for these storms?
Yes. So we're here in the lab to talk a little bit more about those ingredients and what we're going to be seeing tomorrow. We're going to look at Tulsa in particular. And let's start with the first part of SLIM, the shear. This is the change in wind speed and wind direction with height. So we're looking at the wind. Let's start with the speed and look down at the surface. We've got winds 33 miles an hour, but we notice as we go higher in the atmosphere, those winds really picking up. And this is going to give us that speed shear throughout the atmosphere that's going to allow these updrafts to tilt. And that's what we're looking for in these supercell storms that are capable of producing the real impacts and, of course, the tornadoes. As far as the directional shear goes, notice as I tilt this, we are seeing a bit of a change in directions. Out of the at the surface, those winds more out of the south-southwest. However, at the upper levels of the atmosphere, say 14,000 feet, 16,000 feet, more out of the west-southwest. All right, so that's your shear. How about the instability? This is going to be a huge factor because the air that's there is going to want to rise. We've got that warm, moist air at the surface. So right down at the surface, notice we've got that area of unstable air. However, we do have this thin layer here of stable air. This is the cap that we often talk about. This is going to inhibit storm development at first, but if we can break through that cap, those storms are going to be able to explosively develop, because anything beyond the cap, very, very unstable air. That means that air is going to rise, and it's going to rise so very quickly, and that's going to allow these storms to rapidly develop and really explode, like we oftentimes show you on the visible satellite picture where you can see those cloud tops. The only thing that may inhibit some of the storm development as we look at the moisture throughout the atmosphere. Now, we do want some dry air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. That does allow for those storms to especially produce some damaging gusty winds, also the hail, but notice we've got a very wide or thick layer all the way from 5,000 feet to nearly 13,000 feet of pretty dry air, but we've got that very moist, warm air at the surface. Remember, dew points well into the 70s, even closing in on 80 for spots like Tulsa. So we do think that we are going to be watching for some rapid development of storms and some possible explosive development of strong and severe storms tomorrow. But perhaps the one fly in the ointment could be that dry air, and we're going to watch how this all progresses tomorrow. tomorrow. Let's show you the Torcon values tomorrow. I did mention they were in the 3 to 5 range with St. Louis, Missouri, Nashville, Tennessee, and also Topeka, Kansas. You're in that 3 out of 10 range. That's a 30% chance of a tornado within 50 miles of each of these locations. For Dallas,
It's wild to see a tornado go southwest. Hardly ever happens in North America.
That is odd.
Very odd, and to be that intense, too. Now, Dr. Navarro with us again, talk about a setup tomorrow that could potentially produce tornadoes, too.
Yeah, we not only just tornadoes, but as well as some very large hail. And one of the factors that's related to that is the instability. And Mike, looking at this graphic yesterday, there was not this much area that was covered in the extreme risk.
So we've ratcheted up a bit.
We've definitely upticked. No, that's not what we like to see, especially on a weekend where we know everybody's going to be around and outside. But these values are very high, and this instability is going to create those violent updrafts in the tornadoes, which could help fuel that hail threat as well as other things as well.
Right.
So looking at our severe ingredients, moisture and instability, we've got that tomorrow. It's off the charts in some areas. The upper level lift associated with this not as high, and the shear as well coming in, we're giving it a medium. It's not as strong as we'd like to see, so it's not a classic tornado setup, but don't let that downplay the threat at all.
You just need these together at one particular point.
That's right.
And next thing you know, you're off to the races with tornadoes.
Absolutely. And so these are the areas that we are looking at tomorrow. It's stretching all the way from Tennessee into Kentucky, throughout the Ohio Valley here, and then down into Texas and Oklahoma. A lot of these areas could be seeing straight line wind damage. We could be seeing bowing out segments. These can be very destructive.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a tornado, and as well as large hail and, of course, other things as well.
All right, so you're forewarned. Just be ready, and a lot of you plan on being outside, so pay attention to the weather.